every time I'd go to the toilet in the morning, there would be poo everywhere. I know, I'm not just saying like in the normal like skid marks.
Sprayed.
And she turned around and said, we'd like you to leave tomorrow. We have spent over 2 years living in house shares abroad, and we've been in a fair few. So we're here today to tell you the truth about living in a house share abroad.
So first of all, we're going to talk about the do's and the don'ts of house sharing.
So do make sure you go for the house viewing. Don't just turn up because you might find something that you don't like.
Or the people you might not like.
Yeah.
You might see some of the people you might be sharing with. So do go on the official websites for the house shares. No dodgy websites, not on Facebook, anything like that, because people can scam you. They can make fake contracts, as we've experienced, but we'll go into. But yeah, it's best to go off the official house sharing websites where landlords have to be like certified.
And it's just for your own safety and security. Do research your value for money. I mean, look around the area, look what other people are charging for the same kind of quantity, because people will rip you off because they know you're a backpacker. I'm just telling you that. So do your research.
So do make sure you read your contract fully to make sure they haven't snuck anything in there that you don't want to miss. Also, make sure you know all legal stuff to make sure they're not breaking any rules, breaking any laws with any rules that they have in the house.
So don't ever send money over until you've officially met people, signed the contract, all that stuff. It's just obvious, isn't it?
So like I mentioned before, don't go on Facebook and expect to get a legit house on there, because it's very easy for people to scam you.
That's the place where we got scammed. It's not funny. So don't be afraid to report problems to your landlord or whoever you're renting off, because you've got to live there, you're paying the rent, they've got to sort it out. Living in a house share abroad is so good because 1, you're saving money, 2, you're meeting more like-minded people, and 3, there's not a lot of ties with it. If you want to leave and you've got a flexible contract, which most of them will be, you can just give your 2-week notice, 3-week notice. Whereas if you're going through a private rental, doing it properly, it's always going to be pretty much a year contract, so you're pretty tied.
So they are the positives, but there is some negative things about sharing a house. One of them is you don't know if you're going to get on with your housemates, and if you don't really get on with them, then you don't get your own space too much. Even if you do get on with them, you still don't really get your own space, especially when it comes to cooking in the kitchen and stuff. In some houses it's a nightmare trying to get your slot in the kitchen. Another negative thing is you don't know how clean your housemates are going to be. People, as we'll come into in some of our stories, are disgusting, and that's just some people.
So now me and Luke are going to go on to our own personal stories with house sharing. There's many of them. We've picked out the most interesting ones.
By the way, these are our worst stories. There is a lot of good things, good experiences that we've had sharing houses, but like that's boring telling them, so we're going to tell you our worst stories.
We're not going to name and shame. We are going to spill the tea. So we're going to start from our first journey of house sharing and work our way up
through all our nightmare stories.
Yeah. First of all, we were in Kent, we panicked, we were running out of money, so we thought, let's go to Adelaide. Money was tight, so we were desperate for a house share because we were living in a hostel. So we flew to Adelaide, we were living in a hostel, and I managed to actually get in touch with a lady on Facebook who was advertising a house share in Adelaide. Perfect price for us, wasn't it? It looked like a beautiful house. We went for the viewing. I don't know about the viewing, I did feel a bit weird vibes with them.
The problem there was that the landlords were living in the house, which from experience, do not stay in a house where the landlords live there.
You won't feel comfortable.
No.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's like living with your friend's mum or something. I don't know, it's just weird. Anyway, they were a lot older than us. First of all, we were living with them. Second of all, they'd only just been in the country 2 weeks themselves from a different country. So they were new to Australia. They were tight on money, I think, and they'd never done renting before. And they were doing it to save money for themselves.
Yeah, because they couldn't afford their house.
Because they couldn't afford it.
They would rent out other rooms to help pay off whatever.
And this house was fancy, but they literally couldn't afford anything in it. First, we run into the problems. First of all, they said we weren't allowed to use the dishwasher. Second of all, the contract stated there would be internet. Did we get internet?
We didn't have Wi-Fi for the whole 2 months we were there.
Whole 2 months we were there. And when I questioned it, she kicked off. And then They said there was aircon included in our rent, and it was peak summer.
40 plus
40 degrees, yeah, it was so hot. So obviously, yeah, when we were in the house, bear in mind we worked pretty much 9 to 5, didn't we?
Yeah.
Weren't in the day, they was, because they worked from home. So we had put the aircon on. It was fine for about a week or so when we were putting it on. And she introduced a new rule, so she changed her contract without informing any of us, saying that we were only allowed it for, was it 1 hour a night?
Yeah, 1 hour a day.
Anyway, so then one morning I was getting ready and it was so hot, and we were only allowed it on in the evenings apparently, but I put it on in the morning because I just couldn't bear the heat. Like, I was so hot, and she kicked off hugely, resulting in her turning the whole aircon system off. Nobody was allowed aircon then in peak summer. Nobody was allowed it.
Insert the video, Jess sat by the fan, crying.
Yeah. I'm dying. So then obviously I'd had enough of it because she was just making us feel so uncomfortable, and we had to message them because they spoke a different language. They were really broken English, so it was hard to communicate with them, so we did it over text. So I basically said, what are we paying for? And she turned around and said, we'd like you to leave tomorrow. That's it, no discussion, we want you to leave tomorrow.
Just from that.
How rude.
That's what they said. We managed to persuade them to let us stay for a few weeks, didn't we?
Well, we had to because
obviously we didn't have another house to move to.
Yeah.
Like I said, we'd only been there a couple of months,
Yeah.
so we hadn't saved much. If we went to a hostel, our money would have just gone right down again. So yeah, we had to find a new house. So as soon as we found that new house, we were able to move. It was awkward in the house, wasn't it? Knowing that they wanted us out.
They wanted us out, and this is the lesson learned from that house: is don't live with your landlords. Make sure they're doing everything properly, because they didn't. Oh, that was the way. They actually, so flatmates,
faked the contract,
they
didn't
faked
they?
the contract. So they printed out a contract that said flatmates at the top. If you don't know what flatmates is, it's an online app that you can use that is professional to do house shares.
Yeah. You have to get certified to be a landlord to be on there. Obviously, what they've done is completely illegal to put the logo of flatmates on a contract.
Yeah. We shouldn't have been so naive to sign it, but we were desperate. What I'd say is don't rush it, do your research, don't let people mug you off like that, because it's just not right.
So this one continues on from that story that Jess just told about getting kicked out of that house. So we again were in quite a desperate situation, and we had to move to another house, which was in a completely different suburb. We had no idea what the suburb was like.
Yeah.
It ended up being probably the roughest place we've ever lived.
Oh my God.
Crackheads, just rough. There were trolleys just everywhere. Just, yeah, not what you'd expect from Australia.
Not even one nice coffee shop.
No. So we moved into this house. We thought it was decent. It had big TVs on the wall. It was a nice house.
I was just going to say, like, there was like Netflix included, Disney included.
Everything, massive TVs.
We were allowed the aircon on whenever we wanted.
Yeah, so we thought this is decent. The landlord at that house was some middle-aged American guy. Very strange. Very, very strange man. A bit creepy. Just, sorry to you Americans, but Americans are over the top as it is. Yeah. He was next level.
Yeah.
Next level over the top.
In a creepy way.
But in a kind of creepy way. We didn't see too much of him at the time we were there.
But there was cameras
in the house. Yeah, there was cameras in the
everywhere.
house, which you will find in quite a lot of share houses, which if you can avoid it, because you don't really feel like you get any privacy
at all.
And he was the sort of landlord that would sit at home, I can imagine, and watch us, so it didn't really feel ideal.
No.
So the problem with this landlord wasn't actually really at the house, it was after we'd left. And when you join a house share, you have to pay a bond, which is usually a few weeks rent, and it's like a security thing that you send to them, and obviously they give that money back once you've moved out, if everything's all good and you've cleaned your room, whatever.
Which he agreed that everything was fine. He came. We
signed a contract, a proper contract this time, as he was a certified landlord from Flatmates. So we thought, yeah, no problems here. And then we signed our contract on the final day, which was due to come back into our account a few weeks later. He was weirder then. He made like a few weird jokes about not getting your money back, or like, he
did,
or just a few weird comments.
And he knew we were moving to a new state as well.
We were moving to Perth, which was a 3-hour flight, so there was no chance of going back. So we signed that contract, went to Perth, and then it had been a few weeks, to be honest. He said the bond would come back in a week or two.
I think he said 10 working days.
10 working days, so it'd been over that. So we gave him a text and said, like, where's the bond? Like, you said it would be here in this time.
Insert the text here.
He then sent back a really aggressive text saying, look, I work like 90 hours a week or something ridiculous.
I've been working 90 hours a week.
Who works 90 hours a week anyway? Like, I don't care if you're working 90 hours a week.
We didn't say that.
No, this is what we're thinking.
Yeah.
It's his job to get our money back. Doesn't matter how many hours he's working. Went back and forth on a few texts. And then it had been like a day. I texted him again the next day because we hadn't heard anything from him. And then he was like, you only sent that text 72 hours ago. And he was like, oh, don't worry about your bond. It's like, it's only money.
Yeah, he said it's only money.
It's only money? And I was thinking, if we didn't send him rent and then said it was only money, could you imagine his reaction?
He would have kicked off. No, because even there was some days where our money had taken a day or two to send through to the rent.
Yeah, and
he'd text us straight away.
Where's my rent?
But when our bond, it's only money, so...
Eventually he did send the money back, but...
We blocked him after that.
Exactly, but I think he claimed that he sent the money off to some bond people.
We don't think he did.
Which he obviously didn't, because in the end he sent it to us from his
own account, apparently.
So he clearly lied about that. Honestly, if we didn't chase up our bond or we forgot about it, we would not have got it back.
I don't think so.
It was only because we had to keep messaging him.
So... I don't know what the lesson learned from that is. Just you get some dodgy landlords.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. The worst thing was because we was in a new city.
Oh, it was stressful.
If we were still in Adelaide and he didn't give our bond back, we would have just gone to the house and stood there until he gave our bond back. Because we're in a new city, we can't do that.
Yeah. Sticking in the same household, we'll talk about a few of our housemates. So...
We've had many different housemates.
We did.
But we're going to tell a few stories about
But we'll stick by house.
Yeah.
So obviously we're in the new house in Adelaide. We're getting to know our housemates. And to be honest, they didn't really speak to us. We had a couple and then we had a few in that other room, didn't we?
Yeah.
Well, we're mainly going to talk about the couple in there. So basically, every time I'd go to the toilet in the morning, there would be poo everywhere. No, I'm not just saying like in the normal like skid marks.
Sprayed.
I'm saying everywhere.
On the seat, on the back of the seat.
The back of the seat. What was he doing in there? It kept happening every single day until he moved out, wasn't it? All he kept doing was pooing everywhere. And I think the only way you can get poo in them different places is by standing on the toilet, surely. How does your poo explode into all the different crevices of the toilet?
That's what I always just say. I can understand skid marks because everyone's left a skid mark at some point.
Yeah.
How people can spray shit.
It wasn't right. If I have a picture, I'll put it on, but it was just disgusting. Like, have some decent respect. I always check the toilet after I've been, just in case anything's there, or a bit of wee, I don't mind, but poo.
Bit of wee. I don't mind a bit of wee.
And then, so it was it summer?
It was winter.
It was winter, and okay, so the camera cut off, and then in between that, I was charging the camera, and I cut onions, and now my eyes are like pandas because my mascara ran. What happened, me and Luke were chilling in bed and I'd be like, Luke, go turn it down because it's getting too hot. And we'd hear their door go instantly and it'd be like back off, wouldn't it? I think it was the aircon.
Whatever it was.
Anyway, but this kept happening every night. So one night it happened like 5 times. Luke would get up, he'd get up, and I said, Luke, wait at the door for him to do it, and then open it, didn't I? Yeah. In the end, Luke confronted him and was like, he said it was his girlfriend complaining.
Was telling him
to keep getting up and do it. We said, well, we've all got to agree on it, haven't we really? Because it's not fair. Yeah. She can wrap up, we can't cool down.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that story was a bit of a weirdo. Yeah. So next we're going on to another housemate. So this was when we were in Perth. In Perth, by the way, we were sharing with about 9 people, weren't we?
Yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, it didn't feel like that for most of it because it was a very quiet house.
It actually worked out well for us because all our housemates worked in hospitality, so they worked night shifts.
All apart from one.
All apart from one, but we didn't see him really that much.
No. So this guy was called...
No, he wasn't. Another funny thing is, every housemate me and Luke have had, we have code names.
So we can speak about them and they won't know, they won't say it.
We have a name for every single housemate, but it would just be something so silly, like for example, if we first met someone and they say something, that will be their name.
Yeah, that will be their name.
Because, oh god, we're just so immature.
So this guy, he was very, very strange.
From the get-go.
From the very start, I don't even know what it started off with.
I'll tell you, it started off me being lovely and being like, hi, how are you? And he didn't say a thing.
Blanked
us. Can I just say, this guy, so our bedroom.
Oh yeah.
So our bedroom was here, and then there was an extension on the house, which used to be an office, but in that extension there was a door to our room, a wooden door with a glass window. That was his room, the extension, and our bedroom. So there was just one single door separating our room.
We couldn't go through it. It was all locked.
It was all blocked up, but we could hear everything.
Every movement.
Everything.
So some of the things he did, which were very weird. He used to order, in Australia they have Hungry Jack's, which is Burger King. He used to order like 3 burgers, chips, like full sugar Coke, everything at about 7 in the morning.
Every Saturday.
And he'd have it for breakfast, and then wouldn't it, like a few hours later, he'd get like
another takeaway.
He'd leave all his bags on the sides.
So in the kitchen, he'd leave each takeaway bag, which had the Uber receipt with your name, in a row. He wouldn't take it out to the bin. There'd just be bag,
And
all
he used to
on the
hide the
kitchen
receipts
side.
in the bin.
And then eventually he started hiding his receipt.
He used to just walk around in circles in the garden, round the front room, barefoot.
I mean, grounding is very good for you guys. But
yeah, he used to go
still,
barefoot everywhere, and the floor outside.
Floor was. I tell you what, in that shared house particular, I would not go barefoot at all.
The weirdest thing about this guy, so first of all, he didn't say a word to us at all. He said the odd word, like when you were cooking, he'd be like, omelette.
No, because this is what made it creepy. For the whole time, for like a few weeks, he didn't say a word, would not even look at us. And then, all of a sudden, I'm cooking my omelette in the kitchen.
He stands there and stares.
He's standing there.
Like 20 seconds.
Makes me feel really uncomfortable, and I turn around and say to him, oh yeah, how are you, or something. And then he just walks off, didn't say a word, comes back, stares at it some more.
He goes, omelette.
And he goes, omelette? And then he just like buy random stuff every single week.
Buy like a bread maker.
A bread maker, what else was it?
The weirdest thing about this guy is the next bit. So obviously Jess said we could hear everything from our room. So he used to he used to constantly be listening to music. But the weirdest thing was he used to have the same song on repeat.
Oh my god, I never forget that.
But then he listened to certain songs on repeat like 10 times. Some songs were really weird and creepy.
But one after the other, just repeating. I said, Luke, that's not normal.
Every half an hour or so, from his room, all you'd hear is like a clown.
Oh, so I think he.
We were just like.
Yeah, I think he used to drink in there, must have on his own.
You'd hear the weirdest, creepiest laugh.
I didn't feel.
And then we found his light in our room.
So at his light switch was in our room, which turned on his light. So we thought it'd be funny to start flicking it. Anyway, he comes knocking on our door, saying,
walks in our room
saying, I think you've got my light switch in here. And I'm like, do we? Oh, it must have been an accident. We're not slagging him off, we're just saying what we found unusual, and you know, mental health is a big thing. It could have been something to do with that, which is really crappy. In the end, he actually got kicked out of the house. He got kicked out because there was like so many like comments about him by people, and
he used to put the dryer on like 100 times, and he used to put vinegar in the dryer and he used to put it on. He used to put it on, and it was 40 degrees, and he put the dryer on.
Oh my god, the kitchen would be like a sauna. Just dry your clothes outside, isn't it?
But that's not even all the things, there's more than that.
There's so more, but it was just creepy, and it just makes you,
Yeah, it was very strange.
Very odd.
One of the weirdest housemates we've had.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We've had some weird ones, but he probably tops the list.
them all. We still talk about it to this day.
Yeah, we do.
But this is the great part about house sharing. You've got so many stories to tell, and no one will ever meet these people.
Yeah.
And we'll never speak to them again.
No,
and it's just funny.
You start like making up stories about them, and like, could this guy like
conspiracy theories.
We were thinking in our heads that this guy could be like a serial killer, because just picture it, this guy doesn't speak to us, says the odd creepy word, walks around in circles, a bit mad, orders takeaways at 7 a.m.
Start giggling to himself.
And then goes in his room. We were thinking this guy could be a serial killer.
Yeah, it was a bit odd. It was just weird behaviours, wasn't it? Anyway, so obviously we've only mentioned the people that really stand out. We've actually had some lovely housemates and really got on with some of the people that we've lived with. Not everyone I wouldn't say slag off, but someone makes an impression, we're going to talk about it.
That's just house sharing for you. You're going to get on with some people you're not.
So that is our house sharing stories. We could go on for hours about house shares, couldn't we?
Yeah.
But just do your research, be aware, and just enjoy it, because you're only young once and you're only going to have these stories to tell. And one day I think we'll really appreciate having our own home, and it will make us really appreciate it, won't it?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Having our own space and stuff.
So, but if you've got any other questions, be sure to ask us, because we've probably missed some things out and we're quite experienced in the matter, so.
Yeah, we actually are.
Yeah. Remember to subscribe and follow all our other platforms. We'll leave it in the description. Anyway,
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. Goodbye.